I've already made a first start video of this BSA A65 where it started and ran easily enough, but as I observed, the ignition timing was a little over retarded on it, as I'd only set it up by eye and it's an electronic ignition. So since then I've run the engine again and adjusted the timing by strobe, and I've also had a brief ride just up and down the lane on this bike. I'll start it up in a minute. The owner's fitted an oil pressure gauge to it, and it obviously had oil pressure problems when it came here, and the timing side bush and journal on the crank were very well worn. Since then it's had a regrind on the timing side journal and a new undersized timing side bush fitted, polished big end journals which are on standard size. They were within tolerance, but it's had new big end shells, new main bearings and piston rings. The valves and guides were found to be good, and the pistons are fairly recent as well, actually, as well as the bores, although all standard, funnily enough. So it's either that mileage there is very likely genuine, or it's been reset to zero when new pistons were fitted. I'm not quite sure which, because there was quite a bit of filth in the crankshaft sludge trap, believe it or not. Anyway, it's running now, so I'm going to start it up. And back to the oil pressure. I did some checking because I thought it might have shown higher than it does, because some Triumphs relief valves lift at about 80 psi. But it turns out I found reference to a BSA service sheet from the early 70s, and we're looking for 40 to 45 psi at 3 to 4,000 rpm with a warm engine. Well, it's not hot, but it has been run today and it is warm, so let's see what happens. I'll just put this camera down a moment, we'll start up and go from there. In fact, I'll do better than that. I'll get hold of the camera and we watch the oil pressure gauge from the moment it starts. Okay, so I'll take it up to 2000 RPM. Well, we've already got 45 psi there, never mind 3,000 or 4,000. Well, we're near a 60 psi at 3,000. And we were on 60 psi at 4,000. Well, that all seems okay to me, so hopefully on a slightly drier day than this I might get to take a short run on it up and down the road around our usual test circuit and see how it goes. But it seems to be running well enough and sounding well enough, and the oil pressure, which like I say alarmed me a little bit at first, does seem to fall within the parameters of what's recommended. Certainly way over 40 or 45 psi at 3,000 rpm there anyway. I'll have to make allowances, of course, for when it warms up slightly more than this, but I think it's going to be where it should be. So we've got a runner ready for a bit of road testing there, and surely it's got to be better than it was before.